Okay, hi everyone. So we're back talking about dividing exponents today. In the last video, we discussed multiplying, which if you need a refresher on, you can find in the previous video. But today we're going to focus on dividing. So if you remember last time, just as a refresher, we said x, let's say squared, let's go back here, x squared times x to the third, right? We said we add these. So when we multiply exponents, we're just essentially adding their exponent powers. So we keep the same base and do 2 plus 3. So this becomes x to the fifth, right? So that's just the quick refresher on what we did last time. Now we're going to talk about dividing. So let's say I had x to the fifth divided by x to the fourth. So guess what? If we divide, instead of adding now, we're subtracting. So now we'll subtract the exponent. So it'll be 5 minus 4. And we keep the same base. So x to the first power. And it's just that simple. So we'll run through a few examples here. But it should be a pretty straightforward lesson. So let's do another. Let's do x to the eighth over x to the third. We do x, keep the same base, 8 minus 3, just to show you the process, x to the fifth, and we're done. Okay, so now you might be thinking, okay, well, what happens if I get the opposite? So like, let's say the example would be x to the third over x to the eighth. Oh, well, this is weird, right? We do x to the 3 minus 8, which gives us x to the negative 5. Now, negative exponents. So we'll discuss this in more videos in the future, but it's not something that your teacher or mathematicians may particularly like. So we tend to not write our answers with a negative exponent. So you may be wondering, how can I get rid of that negative exponent? So that's the next step. When we have a negative exponent, or in the case where the larger exponent is on the bottom of a fraction, we will do x, that's my bad, 1 over x to the fifth power. So we had x to the negative 5, and we simply can turn that into 1 over x to the positive fifth power. So the trick here is, if you have higher power on the bottom, like we do right here, so 8 obviously greater than 3, then we want to keep the final power on the bottom in order to keep it a positive number. So we'll run through another example to clarify. Let's do x to the third over x to the seventh. So, right, we know, okay, well, this is going to be x to the 3 minus 7, which is x to the negative 4. Negative exponent. Immediately we should see x to the negative 4. Nope, let's move it down to the bottom, 1 over x to the positive 4. Good. So this is a really simple example on how to work through negative exponents and how to divide some exponents. Now we're going to get into, let me move down. We're going to get into using multiple variables. So like we did last time, right? X to the third, y to the second, z to the fifth, sure, over x to the fifth, y to the 7, z to the 1. Okay, so just like we did with multiplying exponents, right, we have to have the same base. So we're only going to subtract x and x, y, and then z and z, right? We cannot combine these powers unless they have the same base. Okay, so that being said, what do we have so far? We have x to the 3 minus 5 And I'm just going to write it this way to make it very clear how I got my answer. Y to the 2 minus 7 and z to the 5 minus 1. Okay, this is going to give us, right, x to the negative 2 power, y to the negative 5 power, and z to the 4th power. Okay, great. So we're almost there. Now the only thing that's left is we want to get rid of our negative exponents, right, like we said. So what did we say we do with a negative exponent? We simply move it to the bottom of the fraction, or the denominator. So I have two negative exponents here, x and y. So z is positive. We can leave it on the top, and that's totally cool. Z to the 4th. Now we're going to move x squared and y to the 5th to the bottom. And then we're done, right? So if you want to start learning to do this faster, you can imagine it as, right, we said the bigger exponent on the bottom, it's going to stay on the bottom. So we know 2 minus 7 is negative 5, but we'll just keep it on the bottom and we get positive 5. Same with 3 minus 5 is negative 2, but if we want a positive 2, we'll just keep it on the bottom. So that's a quick example on how to divide exponents and work with some negative exponents as well. And in the next video, we'll do some more exponent rules. Thanks, guys.